All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be updated on what's going on in your world. We are down to our new segment, News with Q, where my husband, my chocolate drop, keeps you updated on what's going on in your world. Made you laugh, made you smile.
Yeah.
What you got for me, husband?
Well, I've got a couple stories today. This one is a nerd story because I am a part nerd.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
believe it or not, they found a huge ocean beneath the Earth's surface.
What?
Yes.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah, I know because you're Star Trek and you not Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek. You better believe it, baby.
Yeah. So they kind of discovered this. It was in Frankfurt, Germany, because they found a diamond, and the water content of the diamond was odd and off, not what it normally is. And so they kind of did some research and found out that I guess it's the mantle of the Earth, like below the upper crust or lower crust, upper mantle. Lord, it's been so long since I've been in science class.
Right.
So yes, between the upper mantle and the lower mantle, there is a huge ocean.
That is
Just
so
floating.
cool.
Yeah, so essentially it's floating or in the middle of the Earth. I can't even fathom how that works.
Wow, that is so
I can't
cool.
fathom how that works. So
Right.
that's my little nerd segment. So
Oh, I like it.
this here is just kind of a cool story for those who are entrepreneurs or who just wonder. There was a gentleman who followed 233 millionaires for 5 years. He followed them, talked to them, and here are the top 6 things, I guess, gems or advice that they have. So they are constantly learning. So millionaires, they are always looking to learn something new. So once they hit that status, they're not just, stopping.
Right.
They're constantly going. The second one is they listen more than they talk.
You know what? That's a good one right there.
That is a great one.
Right. What's that saying said? Talks about fools like open up your mouth and remove all the doubt or something. You know what I'm talking about?
No. I don't, but I believe you.
Okay.
The third thing is the self-made millionaires, they build great teams.
Okay.
So number one, they work on average of 50 hours or more a week.
Wow.
But they also have a team of people around them
Right.
to help them.
Right.
So they don't take the attitude of I can do it all myself.
Okay, that's good.
So that's cool. Number 4, they dream big, which is kind of cool because they are always thinking of the next thing.
Right.
Like you always say, you think Monica, she's going to hit that status because she's always thinking.
Absolutely.
Always thinking what's the next big thing. She's trying to think ahead. So that's what they do. They dream big because they want to be the one who, I guess, discovers or creates that next it thing.
That's awesome. That's kind of like now I'm going to be churchy on this one. That's a confirmation of what we were talking about earlier with the song talking about bigger.
Oh,
Because
yes.
that's basically what the song was talking about, how God is basically going to blow your mind and you're going to have these big dreams and big blessings and big visions. Because God is never going to give you a small vision or a small invention or something. It's always going to be bigger than what you can fathom.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Yeah, I like that. Okay, next.
We done with church?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
No,
That's the
good.
church girl in me.
You're
What's
good.
next?
Number 5, they prioritize their health.
That's a real good one.
Yeah, so they take care of themselves. Obviously they have the means to hire nutritionists. And
Right.
A lot of times maybe a private chef and all that. So not everybody can do that, but they make sure that they take care
Are
of
you
themselves.
listening to that? Did you listen to that?
Good shot.
But no, you're no good to nobody if you laying up exhausted or dead.
Yeah. Now this last one I get, but it says that they make their own luck. So I guess they're just saying,
we don't. We over in holiness, we don't believe in luck. We believe in being blessed.
Yes, we believe in
In favor.
But I think what it's saying is that they, by them always being on the innovative tip or always thinking, is like they kind of create their own, you don't believe that. Never mind.
No,
I see your
because
face.
what God say? Behold, He opens up the
I know
door,
that.
no
I'm
man
just
can
saying.
close.
Yeah.
But I kind of get what that's saying. Why are you laughing?
That's it. That's the second one. Here is one that I have not seen anywhere on the news. I heard this because I was listening to Clay Kane's show on Sirius XM, and he is the only person I've heard talk about this. I don't know if you remember a couple years ago in Virginia, when the governor, he got caught with the whole blackface thing.
I think I do. Yes.
Yes. And then everybody was trying to get him to resign, and he wouldn't.
Oh,
and
didn't
then
know
all
that.
of a sudden, they came out with allegations about the lieutenant governor, Justin Fairfax. That's when the Me Too movement was really at its
I remember
peak.
his name.
Yes. It's come out. And one of the ladies who was calling for his resignation, she is a former Republican House Committee, I guess, counsel. Her name is Sophia Nelson. She did a article on the Washington Post saying that she regrets pushing for him to resign, which I don't think he did. But it comes out that those allegations were false, like he said.
Oh.
Yeah, and he was a rising star.
Oh, wow.
He was a rising star. So from what I've learned is that they believe that the FBI is looking into it. They believe it was a coordinated smear campaign.
Gotcha.
Yeah, to keep him from, excelling. And
man.
And they, so once you have those type of allegations on you,
you can't
that
recover.
is so hard to shake.
Yeah.
He said that he's been blessed because his family's been able to kind of still support themselves. But he says, I told you guys, essentially that this never happened.
Right.
People, it was headline after headline, and what bothers me is that these same networks have not come out and run this story.
Right.
And say, hey.
Yep.
If you don't want to say I'm sorry or whatever, fine. But at least run it as much as you ran that other.
Come on, that's right.
Yeah. So
and that's the scary side of that.
Yeah.
Like if a individual gets accused and it's not true, like he was blessed, but most folks don't recover from that type of allegation.
They
so
sure don't.
That's the scary. You don't want to not believe a victim, but at the same time, you really have to kind of investigate and
and I believe everybody deserves to have their allegations investigated.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that.
Oh no, absolutely.
But for the way that they just dumped my man and just like didn't let the allegations be investigated before they acted. It was just like,
right.
Oh, somebody said it, you got to go.
Yeah.
And I get it because they're trying to, the Democrats sometimes try to be the more moral party,
right,
and hold each other accountable. But sometimes you got to slow it down and make sure, cause
be fair about it.
Yeah, be fair. And
be fair about
make
it.
Sure that nobody
protect the victim, but also do proper investigation.
Yes. Now here is the biggie. I'm pretty sure you probably haven't heard this, and I have kind of avoided talking about it, so we could talk about it today.
Oh, okay.
But in L.A., city council members were caught on a secret recording. They're not sure who, but they were saying a lot of racist things. And these individuals are of Mexican American heritage. And they were just as racist as somebody from Mississippi.
And I don't know what for. Well, okay, we ain't gonna go into that another show.
It's okay. But what it was is there was a black councilman, and she was speaking in Spanish, and she used the term meaning little monkey in Spanish, and saying that he needed to beat down, and also described, Koreatown as short little dark people.
What?
Yeah. So I've heard a lot of Latin commentary and columnists talk about, even within the Latin community, that colorism thing is so heavy, and a lot of them, believe it or not, look down on black people.
I can see that.
They identify as white because they consider their ancestors to be European from Spain. Where obviously they got the language from, and they sometimes don't acknowledge the darker.
I can see that.
So like the lady that was talking on Clay Kane, I love Clay Kane, but she's Dominican, and she was saying she lived in LA for a while, and she, obviously in the Dominican Republic, they speak Spanish.
Right.
But when she was out there in L.A., they was like, "Oh, your Spanish is so good to be a dark person," because they considered her black, which she acknowledges her African heritage.
Right.
But because they were lighter skinned, they were looking down upon her. Yeah, I know.
What?
It's crazy, and I didn't realize it because obviously we're not part of that community.
Right.
Just kind of listening to her talk, that colorism thing and that superiority thing.
It's everywhere. Even in India, I've heard stories in India about the darker skinned, Indian people.
Yes.
So I hate that.
It's an awful demon that
it
they
is.
Released.
Yes, it is.
Centuries ago, saying that white was right.
Yes.
And that it is fixated on every community around the world. Like, you have the bleaching issue in Africa because,
And I think it's more, I've heard of it like in the Caribbean areas, I think.
No, it's in Africa.
Oh, it's in Africa too?
Yeah,
okay.
That's why was it Nigeria? When they advertise now, they cannot use white people to advertise.
Oh, I heard about that. You may have told me about that, but I've heard about that.
But yeah, that colorism thing and that superiority, and it's so crazy because, we know, some of these backwards folk, they look at the people, that are of Mexican heritage, they look down on them. But it's just like, they're trying to adapt and assimilate.
Yep.
So they're accepted. And I think that's what other communities that were not slaves in this country, when they came to this country, they thought they would be better off if they assimilated.
Right.
Just like, you have the Irish who once were, looked down upon like black people as well as the Italians. But now those two groups are considered white.
Yes.
They adapted and they assimilated.
Yes.
So, but yeah, they've actually asked for these individuals to resign. Even the president has weighed in, which is kind of rare for them to weigh in. But it was such a big thing.
Yes.
Where he had to come out and take a stance on that. So I think two of them have resigned. And then the L.A. council president, she resigned as being the president of the council, but she has not resigned as a council person. So that is the next move. They're trying to get her to resign from that because it's just unacceptable. So
y'all gonna learn today.
Yeah.
You can't just say everything or anything.
You can't. So, yeah. But that's what we have on today.
All right. Good job, husband. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for being a part and listening to News with Q.